Greetings and good health. I am Dr. Jarek Asarko, a pediatric and family wellness chiropractor. This is your Lifeline to Vitality, where we discuss ways to cultivate family wellness. Good day and great health. Welcome back to another edition of your Lifeline to Vitality. Today on the podcast, can spinal adjusting affect cranial nerves? They do not pass through the spine. Yes, adjusting the spine can affect cranial nerves because a vertebral subluxation of the spine affects how the nerve system functions overall. For the purposes of learning anatomy, or the structures of the body, we often group sections of the body into smaller parts for easier study. The nerve system is divided into different systems, organs, tissues, and cells. Even though it is divided up in this way, it is still all one nerve system. Anatomically speaking, cranial nerves do not pass through the spine. But physiologically speaking, cranial nerves do communicate and connect with nerves that do pass through the spine. Quoting from the professor of neurology at the Palmer School of Chiropractic, Dr. H.C. Chance, D.C., clinically, all cranial nerves have a spinal connection. However, anatomically, not much is known. For example, the anatomist has not made this connection with the acoustic nerve, but its spinal connection was proved clinically when D.D. Palmer adjusted Harvey Lillard, and this was the basis of the discovery of the science of chiropractic. Since that time, we have repeatedly obtained results through other cranial nerves by adjusting the spine. Clinical observations are glimpses into how the anatomy functions physiologically, how life animates material structure. Cranial nerves innervate many different systems, organs, glands, and tissues of the body. Spinal nerves innervate many different systems, organs, glands, and tissues of the body as well. Cranial nerves and spinal nerves meet up at the same systems, organs, glands, and tissues of the body and supply functions to them. Cranial nerves and spinal nerves also share similar pathways en route to innervate different systems, organs, glands, and tissues of the body. Quoting Dr. R. W. Stevenson, the first upper six cranial nerves constitute a rather closely related group, which communicate with each other, have axons joining from them the visceral system through the carotid and cavernous plexuses. The last lower six form another group closely related, communicating with each other, chiefly through the ganglia in and near the jugular foramen, and have axons joining them from the visceral system through the superior cervical ganglia. Owing to the efferent nerves which join the cranial nerve conduits from the visceral system, functional communication from the spinal system is established. Therefore, impingements upon spinal nerves do interfere with transmission of mental impulses to exactly the same tissue regions supplied by cranial nerves. This then produces incoordination in those tissues. Chiropractors focus on the spine because it is the main conduit for nerve transmission and communication for system, organ, gland, and tissue innervation. But nerve transmission and communication does not end there, or start there for that matter. Quoting again from Dr. H.C. Chance, D.C., the real origins or determinations of spinal nerves, cranial nerves, and peripheral visceral nerves are in the cortex of the brain. In general, the brain stores information and produces electricity. The brain uses nerve fibers in the form of spinal nerves, cranial nerves, and peripheral visceral nerves to send out that information to the body. Quoting Dr. Harry Vedder, D.C., not only do we think through our brain, but the impulse resulting from this thought is transmitted through the spinal cord or cranial nerves, is conveyed through the spinal nerves, ganglia, etc., and is expressed through the tissue cells which function because of it. There are also nerve fibers at every organ, gland, and tissue of the body that send information back up to the brain for interpretation. All the trillions of nerves that make up the nerve system communicate with each other and the brain in a complete, unbroken cycle. If there is a breakdown in communication anywhere along that nerve cycle, miscommunication can happen. A major contributor to communication breakdown is a vertebral subluxation. A vertebral subluxation interferes with the normal transmission, communication, and interpretation of nerve system impulses. An important meetup point in the cycle of nerve communication occurs at the upper cervical spine. The upper cervical spine protects and surrounds the lower portion of the medulla oblongata. Quoting once again from Dr. H.C. Chance, "The medulla oblongata is the connection of brain with spinal cord. It has located within it many nuclei, which are the nuclei of origin or nuclei of termination of many of the cranial nerves." The goal of chiropractic is to improve the potentiality of the entire nerve system, not just nerves localized in the spinal column, by adjusting the vertebral subluxation. A spinal adjustment is the means, optimizing nerve system function is the end. Thank you for listening. For even more information on how chiropractic can benefit you and your family, please check out my website, ohiospecific.com. That's ohiospecific.com. Until next time, remember to keep your head cool, feet warm, and your mind busy.